put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning.
Good morning and welcome back to the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. We continue conversations in studio with our guest, and we are speaking with Stacey Herbert. Stacey Herbert is the founder and winemaker of Main Ridge Wines Tobago, and we're talking about winemaking classes, which I'm very interested and intrigued to be a part of. This, of course, conversation is going to be a very interesting one. And Stacey, I want to say welcome to the morning show this morning on Tobago Updates.
Thank you very, very much.
Right, so we're talking about winemaking. I know, growing up, back in the day, your parents and your grandparents used to what we call set wine with different fruits and even flowers they used to make wines with. So is it something similar to this?
Yes, it is, but elevated.
Right, so elevated. I want
elevated.
to have this conversation. Tell me about the elevated aspect of it and, a little bit about your process and stuff like that and what got you into the winemaking thing.
Okay, so I started when I was 16 years old. Yeah, so I finished secondary school quite early, and when I was 16, and my mother sent me to spend some time with my grandmother. I was a reader, still am a reader, and she sent me to find books to read, right? And one of the books that I found in her library, in her chest, was a nice seaman's chest, and was a book called Winemaking in 21 Days. All right, that was one of the books, and another one on cheesecakes, and that's probably why I'm so interested in the cuisine of Tobago. Right. Where it comes to food and stuff, I am so very interested in that. So the book basically taught you how to make country wines, because what we do once it's non-grape wines, they are referred to as country wines, right? And it taught you how to do country wines to international standard, with international standard, right? But the thing about it, it was an English book, and the ingredients that they mentioned in the book, it wasn't available to us at that time, right? The internet wasn't as it is now. I couldn't find wine yeast. I couldn't find anything that I needed to create this thing. And it didn't really explain the science behind it, the logic behind it. And for me, the logic behind stuff, I need to understand it in order to be able to do it effectively, right? So 16 years old to 2012, I think it was the first time, was the time that I actually got to the place where I was able to say, well, listen,
now is the time to start.
Now is the time to get, not just start, but to put myself out there as a winemaker. And in fact, that was the first time I sold a bottle of wine, because between 16 years old and then it was time for me to experiment, to try to figure things out. I found a place in Port of Spain called Winemaking Supplies, right? And that was in 1998. So that is when I was able to get the wine yeast and all the things that I would have needed to start my experimentation formally. Before I was using bread yeast and, kind of trying to figure it out. But it's from 1998 that I really started using our local ingredients, our local fruits and flowers and that kind of thing, and paying particular attention to the things, the things that we have to deal with where it comes to winemaking, because we use non-traditional things. We have issues of starch and pectin and those kinds of things that cause hazes in your wine, right? And I wanted to be able to deal with those things so that I could actually present wines that were nice and clear and really at international standards. So 1998 at Winemaking Supplies, that's when I had that opportunity to do that. So now, having all this experience, all this time to work things out, I want to teach what I have learned. As I said before, I'm very, very passionate about the cuisine of Tobago. It's not articulated, and I feel like we need to articulate it a lot more. When you go to France or you go to wherever, there is a cuisine that is present there. When you eat there, you partake in the food there, you know exactly where you are and you appreciate it. When you come to Tobago, you must appreciate Tobagonian cuisine, and wine is part of Tobagonian cuisine, right? It's part of our history, right? All that, the slavery and all of that happened, the colonialism, we learned a lot of things from changing hands so many years. We learned a lot of things from the French winemaking, you know.
And you know, I really appreciate the fact that you want to teach those that you have, teach those of what you have learned and acquired over the years through your
Yes.
experience and your trial and error and getting things right and balancing things out. You know, and you speak about the challenges that you had in the past where sourcing the proper ingredients.
Yes.
Now I'm sitting here and I'm being educated. You'll see me smiling at you while you're
Yes.
speaking because I'm learning things as you go along.
Yes.
As I mentioned in my earlier discourse, our parents and grandparents used to make wine.
Yes.
And I don't think they used to use yeast, wine yeast.
No, no, no.
It's bread yeast.
Bread
they
yeast,
used to
bread
use,
yeast.
right? So
Yes.
I am certain that, of course, the taste, the feel, the smell, the
It's-
look, the texture of the wines
It's
would be totally different
Exactly.
from your end. And now you're teaching people how to
Yes.
do this. Is it the first time? Is it your first opportunity to teach, or have you taught anybody? Has anybody practiced under your hands, and what has it been like?
It has been an interesting and exciting journey. I've been teaching community development vocational skills classes for a number of years, right? Usually the classes are quite large, and what happens is that sometimes you get lost in between. There are things that I would love to be able to teach my students, and because people have different learning styles, it's very important sometimes to have somebody there with you, people there with you to, you know, to teach you, to carry you along the way. I have tutored so many people where it comes to winemaking in Tobago, in Trinidad, outside of Trinidad and Tobago. I have done that, and I am now ready to. I'm in the place where I feel so confident about what I do that I feel like if I want to be there with people, to carry them to where I'm at. I have a student who has now, she now has a brand, right? Her brand is called Irie Roots Marlene. And one day when there was there was something at the food hub, right? And she was there promoting her products, and I told her, I said, listen, this is so good. It's so exceptional. I feel so
And it
proud.
makes
I
you feel
like it
that's
is,
right.
you
That's
know?
right. It makes you
You
feel good. It makes
understand?
you feel really good to know that what you have taught someone, they grasp all of it and they are
Right.
able to benefit from it. So
Right.
now that you're teaching, is it that you have a location where you teach? How do people reach you? Is it a set class? How is it going to happen in terms of how do you dispense that information in terms of the teaching people how to make wine? How do they contact you?
Right. So I have a location that my classes are being done at in Tobago and also in Trinidad, because it's not only in Tobago that I'm doing classes. I have classes lined up in February in Trinidad. So there are people who are interested in learning in Trinidad. You have that opportunity, right? So you can reach me on my social media, Mainridge Wines, Instagram and the Facebook, or Stacey Herbert, right? Either way you could get on to me. So I have in-person classes at my location. We can do it at your location. We can do it online. We can do a blend of both, you know. So I want to reach people wherever they are at in the time that they have, you know, so that we could do this.
Yeah, and I like the idea where you can actually learn to make wine online, guys. You can learn to make wine online. You don't have to leave your home once you have all
Exactly.
the ingredients that are
Exactly.
necessary. You can do this step by step online with our teacher here, Miss Stacey Herbert, who is willing to impart all of her knowledge, her experiences in teaching people to make wine. Just give us your contact details one more time before we conclude.
Yes, my phone number is 773-2764. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Stacey Herbert. Or you can check out my brand, Mainridge Wines, at also Facebook and Instagram. Yeah.
Awesome. So for those of you who are interested in learning something new, a new skill, even if it's a hobby that could grow into something that of course can be of great benefit to you, for your pocket especially, you know, why not? One-on-one classes, I'm sure group classes as well. So I'm looking forward to see where this goes, and maybe I might sign up for one of those classes as
Oh,
well
yes.
myself.
I encourage you to do that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Stacey, for joining us this morning and explaining to us the processes and your challenges and your experiences in bringing you to where you are in terms of making and producing this type of wine for us here in Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking with Stacey Herbert, founder and winemaker of Main Ridge Wines Tobago, which is a Tobago wine. And of course, we're going to be speaking with somebody who is also from Tobago, you know, launching their own, have already launched their own brand, and of course, taking it to another level this year. Up next, we're speaking with Mr. Akil Andrews. He is up next, and he is the owner and director of Beard Boss TT. There he is on screen, Mr. Akil Andrews, coming up next. We're going to have that conversation with him. But before we have that conversation, of course, we have to go to a break. And before we go to a break, of course, we are going to invite you to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.